Welcome to the Quick 10 podcast, brought to you by Trac, focusing on all things FedCon and cyber defense from different perspectives and different personalities, all in 10-ish minutes. Here's your host, Derek White.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Quick 10 podcast, live and in person here at the lovely event in Tampa, Florida. Today, we are going to be doing a lot of conversations with people like Fernando from CyberSec Investments. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So far, so good. First day of a conference. Good to see the ecosystem together. Thanks for spending some time here. We're going to kind of do this with a lot of people and just kind of talk about the world of CMMC and some of the different things that are going on. You're a very key guest to have on here because, tell us a little bit about what you do first and your company, because the next question I'm going to ask is going to be very important, I think, to those that are seeing CMMC through the lens of it being right in front of them.
Yeah, so I'm Fernando Machado, the managing principal and CISO at CyberSec Investments. I'm a lead CMMC certified assessor, and we're an authorized CMMC third-party assessment organization located in Melbourne, Florida.
Awesome. So for those watching and listening, assessments are now happening. And you've done a lot of the original, I wouldn't say a lot of, but you have done plenty of these initial ones that have come out. The rule is out. How is that going?
So far, so good. I mean, we kind of had a little bit of a rough start in the very beginning. As you know, the CMMC 32 rule was finalized on December 16th, and a lot of people expected CMMC assessments to begin then. There was some lag between the DoD and the Cyber AB, so assessment dates actually got pushed back to January 2nd. And so we started our first CMMC assessments the week of January 6th and have just been conducting assessments ever since then.
Awesome. And with that whole process, so for those that this might be new terminology for you and you're learning about CMMC, so Fernando's company, you have to go through a process to become an authorized C3PAO to do these assessments, correct?
Correct.
You have to have the people with the background checks, and you guys have done tremendous work there. So with these assessments, now that you've been through some of those, and you'll be very busy doing that for the foreseeable future, what's some of the good? 12 months ago, the world was different. 2 years ago, the world was different. What's some of the stuff that you're now happy to see and you feel very excited about when it comes to the world of the CMMC?
Yeah. So in the past, the only way to get an assessment was through what was called the Joint Surveillance Voluntary Assessment Program, the JSVAs. And at that point, you would have to contact the C3PAO. That company would then have to submit their name into the hat and wait for somebody from the DoD's DIBCAC team to contact them. Now that the 32 rule is final and CMMC assessments are now voluntary, we've had a lot of slew of companies coming our way wanting to get in line. So that kind of cuts out kind of the middleman, the DoD, out, and it allows contractors that are ready to contact C3PAOs directly to schedule their assessments.
So in that process, then, organizations that are watching, that are attending conferences like this, they have to prepare, they have to be ready, they have to know what they're doing. You guys will start them on the assessment process. They reach out to you and they say, what do I do? What do I need? And you walk them through that, correct? You let them know what they need to provide.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So one of the first things that we do is when we sit down with them, we kind of go through that pre-assessment phase. So we want to see, do you have policies, procedures, are things, do you have documentation? And we're not necessarily evaluating the controls at that time. We're just wanting to see that you have enough documentation to even begin an assessment. Yes. Otherwise, we'll just say, you're not ready, come back and see us in a few months.
Which is the overall message of the last handful of years, really, is you don't really want to be reaching out to a C3PAO to say I'm ready and not be ready, because it's not fun to have a conversation, I'm assuming, when you say you have some work to do still to come back, and schedule's tight, right?
Correct.
You don't just show up tomorrow for a C3PAO assessment with an organization like yours, right?
Right. Yeah. We're currently booked out through the end of the year at this time.
Yeah, that's right. So that's a good indicator. That's a good indicator that people are ready. I know you can't probably share the success rate of how those are going, but we've seen announcements. We've seen the official certificate is out now on what it looks like to get a CMMC level 2, for example, certificate. So that's real. That's good. Another question on the flip side of that, it's assessments are starting, the ecosystem, everything is starting to feel more real, and people are starting to see the outcomes. What are some of the things that you hope to see improve over the next 6 to 12 months that, nothing's perfect right now, but where do you land on that?
Right. So one of the biggest things that I'm seeing that I believe needs additional clarification is there's a section in the rule that talks about that if a company, after having gone through an assessment, has significant architectural or boundary changes, such as mergers and acquisitions or mergers of networks, that would trigger a new assessment. But I think that needs to be clarified a little bit more. There are some people that believe that their current assessment can't expand, and to some degree it can. Right? You can add as many and subtract as many resources as you want from the assess system, but I do think that DoD needs to come out with a little bit more guidance to say clear cut and defined, these are some of the triggers that will have to trigger a new assessment.
Yep, that's good. And one of the things we like to make, especially when we're talking to C3PAOs, is you get your certification, you passed, you can make changes, right?
Correct.
You don't have to.
Yep.
If you move your business or you add a system and stuff, you don't have to that day do a new assessment.
Correct.
You have time to make adjustments.
Yes. Yeah. So things like adding and subtracting resources are considered operational changes, and you would just handle that, within your 3-year life cycle. And I think the 48 rule will provide some guidance based on how it's written in the 32 rule today. The 48 rule will provide guidance as to how soon they have to contact the government official to let them know that a significant change has occurred.
Because they are still operating within their requirements, which NIST 171, which does make reference to when you make changes, reassess, make sure that
Correct.
nothing slips through the cracks. And, still here we are in 2025, and there are still people who don't realize that, a certification is coming from a C3PO as to, like you said, you're not diving into all the details on how to do it. You're telling them whether they do it or not, right?
Correct. Yep.
And that's a good thing. That's one of the things that I think is going to be a very popular message, is that the requirements didn't change. The process and how things are going to go when it comes to a certifying body is needed to be defined. So that's good. And I think that's a big deal. And there's a lot of things that will happen in the future, and I know this is why events like this I think are great. It's because this is a very tight knit group.
Yep.
Not everybody's out there just to, ambulance chase, as we like to say. It's making sure that people get it done and pass, and they spend the right resources and they do the right allocation. So, that's great. So thank you for joining. We're going to have Fernando on a more dedicated podcast episode here in 2025, which will be great. We'll have more conversations around things that you're seeing in assessments when you have more to share on that, which will be, I think, probably an ongoing conversation that we could have for the next couple of years on what people are learning and what we're seeing. So where do people go to work with you, talk to you? And
so if people want to contact us, they can contact us by emailing us at info@cybersecinvestments.com, or they can call us at our number at 800-960-8802.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Fernando, for being on. Really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference and the other ones that happen the rest of the year. And we'll make sure we have you back on.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Thank you for listening to this episode, and make sure to subscribe to the Cuick 10 podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and check us out on YouTube as well. For more information about Trac, visit our website at www.cuicktrac.com. That's CuickTrac.com.